Hello friends, I'm Hector Perez from Dev School. Do you want to know how to use font icons in your Xamarin Forms based applications to stop using images and overloading your app? Well, we'll cover this in this video. In a previous video, we have seen how we can use any font we want as part of our Xamarin Forms based projects. We're going to reuse that knowledge, but this time to learn how to use font icons in our applications. Oftentimes we need to add icons to application. However, these icons must be in different resolutions to maintain good image quality across different devices. We're going to attempt to avoid this with font icons, which are a set of web fonts that will allow us to use different designs for our applications. Let's see how to do this. I have created a new project based on Xamarin Forms. I am using Xamarin Forms version 4.7. The first thing I am going to do is get a font file to use in my project. How can we do this? Well, there are different ways. We can go to sites like Font Awesome, where we can download a free font file merely by registering on their website. In my case, I'll use a site called fontello.com. Okay, it's the website we see here. Here we have different sources of fonts that we can use in our projects. We have a font file from Fontelico, another from Font Awesome, and from various other sources. So we can select the icons we're interested in here. I'm going to select a few like this one, this. I'm going to use a few more from other origins. Another one from Modern Pictograms, for instance. This one from MFG Labs. This lightning symbol we have here. We have a multitude of icons we can utilize for our project. Once we've selected our desired icons, I'm going to click on this orange button that reads Download Web Font. This initiates the download of a .zip file that will contain the font we're interested in. Once I've downloaded this file and extracted it, I have this folder. The folder we're interested in is the one named Font, specifically the file named fontello.ttf. So I'm going back to Visual Studio. As part of my NED Standard project, I'm going to create a new folder for organization, and I'll name it Fonts, for example. I'm going to drag this downloaded file and place it into the Fonts folder, and now I have my fontello.ttf font as part of my project. To do this, you need to set the fontello.ttf feature in its build action as embed resource. This is very important. Once we've done this, to utilize our font in our project, I'm going to open the assemblyinfo.cs file. I'm going to import the Xamarin.forms namespace, and as part of the attributes, I will create a new attribute, assembly, followed by a colon, and I'll use export font, as we've seen in a previous video. The file name is fontello.tpf, and with this we can use this font in our project. Let's go to the mainpage.xaml file. I am going to proceed with running the application on the emulator. Once we have this initial application running, I am going to modify a set of properties. First, I am going to change the font size to enhance visibility. So I write font size equals to, and I will use the header property. With this, we will have larger text. I am also going to change the font family property. The name of the font family should be the name of our font, as specified in our fonts folder. In this case, it's Fontello. The next thing we have to do is change the text. We don't need to use literal text. Instead, we need to use a special syntax to make use of the icons. In this case, we need to use an ampersand symbol, a hash symbol, an X. Then we go back to our Fontello page, where we can go to a section called Customize Codes. What this shows us is a set of different codes for each of the icons we've selected. We need to copy the specific icon. For example, I will copy this code of this puzzle symbol, paste it as part of the text, then add a semicolon, save the changes. Perfect, we already have our icon in our application. If we wanted to change, for example, the color of this icon, it would simply be enough to change the text color to a navy color. Save the changes. And we already have our icon in a nice blue color. Now, you might ask, what happens if I don't want to have the specific text as I have here? What if I wanted to have some kind of symbols or a set of words that I could identify or another person could easily identify to know what icon it is? Well, let's do this in two different ways. The first approach is by opening the app.xaml file. Within these application.resources tags, we can create an x2 string. Within this set of tags, we specify the value of the icon, as we have done in this part here. So I copy this text. I go back to app.xaml, and here we have this icon code. And within the x string tag, we need to specify an x key. We can name it puzzle, for example. This will serve as the resource key. In this way, we can return to mainpage.xaml or any XAML file we want to change. We remove the text as it appears there and instead use a static resource with the name of the resource we have created, in this case, puzzle. Let's save the changes to see that everything is working correctly, and we see that it continues to function satisfactorily. Okay, the reload is done. What's the next approach? The next method is to create a static class that contains the information of each icon with its respective code and an identifier so that we know which icon it is. Fortunately, there are tools like Icon Font2Code that make the creation of this class extremely simple. We only have to click on the Browse button, and I'm going to open the folder, the fonts folder, and the fontello.ttf file that contains the set of icons that we're interested in. The next thing we need to do is create a static class in our project. I return to my project, stop this solution, and within the same fonts folder, I'm going to create a class called icon constants. I'll then return to the code generator page, copy this C code, go back to the project, and paste this class. I'm going to rename this class as icon constants. As you can see, we now have a set of different constants that allow us to have the code of each icon with the icon's name in a way that is easy and quick to understand. I'm going to change this class into a public class. To use this CS class in an XAML file, we need to return to the XAML file and add a reference to where this class is located. In this case, it's in the namespace fonts. I'm going to give it a name, let's say fonts with CLR namespace, font icons demos.fonts. Okay, and we now have the namespace created. I'm saving the changes, and what we can do next is copy this label element. I'm going to create a copy. The first label will reference my app.xaml file, while the second label will reference this class we've created. How can we access this class? Well, we'll change the text property, remove this static resource we've created earlier, and instead, we will specify between brackets x:static, since it's a static resource, and we'll access the namespace, in this case, fonts. And here we have icon constants. Okay. We have the set of constants that we specified earlier, each one referring to each of the icons. For example, let's indicate that we want to use this globe constant. We'll see what happens when we launch the application. Okay, here we have our two icons, the first one with a static resource and the second one referencing our file or icon constants class. This is how we can use icons as part of our Xamarin Forms based projects. In the following video, we'll see a practical use of these icons to modify a search bar that will look extremely great. I invite you to subscribe if you don't want to miss when this video is released. If you liked the video, I invite you to give it a like and share it with your colleagues. See you in the next video.